If you're hoping for a second chance with your ex, then you've probably already heard all about the no contact strategy. Now, in my 14 years as a breakup coach, helping thousands of people from around the world get back together with their ex, I've witnessed firsthand over and over again how powerful and important it is to give your ex plenty of time and space. Whether you want to call it no contact or something else, and whether you go silent for a week or a month or longer, the result is the same. It forces your ex to experience maximum heartache, makes them miss you more than anything else could, and often by itself leads your ex to change their mind about breaking up and beg to have you back. But of course, that's not the case for everyone. So if you're watching this video and you're either currently engaged in a period of no contact with your ex, or if you've just finished and your ex hasn't yet smartened up and decided to take you back, then this video will share 9 steps for what to do next once no contact is over to seal the deal and make your ex come back to you once and for all. Let's get started. All right, number 1, assume the right mindset. All right, let's start with a simple one that's often overlooked, your own mindset. Now, you need to keep a positive frame of mind as much as humanly possible throughout the rest of the reattraction process. In fact, you should try to stay positive even when you're officially back together with your ex, but it's especially critical after no contact when you're starting to talk more and more with your ex again. The last thing you want to do is undo all the progress you've made with your ex during no contact. And yes, you have almost certainly made progress and improved your chances by simply employing a period of no contact, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Anyway, you absolutely do not want to transform back into the jealous, emotional, and hysterical version of yourself, at least if that was the case. Instead, make sure that you have a powerful and confident mindset moving forward. You need to convey to your ex that you're a changed person, that you've moved on from the breakup, and that your life is totally together. So if you've been following the advice in my past videos or in my X Factor program, then the exercises that I outlined during the no contact period will ensure that you do have this proper mindset moving forward. So remember, before you do anything, make sure that you're thinking optimistically. Once your ex sees that you're brimming with positivity and confidence, they'll start to wonder why they ever left you in the first place. All right, number 2, contact your ex. Now, I know this is pretty obvious, but in my experience, a lot of people tend to overthink things. The truth is that it's a lot easier than you actually might think. Now, the goal of this step is to simply establish positive communication so that you can escalate to a date or a potential meetup. Now, right now, your ex will probably still think that you're obsessing over him or her. But this really is the last thing that you want to convey if you're reaching out to them for the first time after weeks or even months with limited contact. So you want to show them that you've moved on and you're focusing on different things, and that B, that life is going extremely well for you. So to do this, you can use one of the many text messages that I outline in my X Factor program. But here's a quick example. I call this the shocking news message. Now, an example of this would be something like,
"Hey, long time no talk. I just had to message you because you would not believe what happened to me at work yesterday. For once, I finally had some luck go my way. I'll tell you next time we catch up."
Right now, this is really all you have to do to establish positive communication with your ex. Now, this text is great because, it doesn't show that you miss your ex or anything like that. You're just reaching out because, you want to hint at something crazy or interesting to share sometime soon when you do see your ex. And that's it. Now, of course, you don't have to text your ex to make your first contact, but I do highly recommend it because it requires minimal effort and it gives your ex room to think about a proper response. You really don't want to give them, any unneeded stress. And secondly, make sure that you don't text your ex at a really weird time. Make sure you text them, during the early evening or the late afternoon. And make sure that whatever you do, you only text your ex once for now. Absolutely no spamming or pestering your ex with multiple messages. If your initial message doesn't get a favorable reply, then you're going to need to back off for a while and rethink your strategy. Now, if you run into problems at this point and you can't seem to establish a real positive connection with your ex, well, before you get desperate and start unknowingly making mistakes, please visit breakupbrad.com/coaching and check out my one-on-one coaching program. When you sign up, you can send me all the specific details about your situation, what's not working, and together we'll come up with a plan to immediately get you back on track. And that link where you can get all the details and sign up is in the description below. Now let's move on to number 3, establish self-control during your conversations. So if you have been playing your cards right and your ex, does end up responding to your call or text message, then, congratulations. But the battle is obviously, far from over. You don't want to get too excited at this point. A lot of my clients will get so anxious that they'll start begging their ex for a date the moment that they establish communication. So please do not make this mistake. Instead, just play it cool. That means that when your ex does message you back, don't respond right away. Instead, at least wait a couple of hours. Or if it's late during the day, then don't be afraid to text them back, the following day. You really need to convey to your ex that you aren't desperate to talk to them, even though you probably are. So contain your excitement for now. And if you've been doing everything right, then your ex should totally be keen to hear your big news. But here's a big tip to help you along the way. Throughout your conversations, make sure you drop what I call feeler questions. Now, feeler questions are questions that are specifically designed to bait them into asking you personal questions about your life. So for example, you could reply with something like,
"Yeah, I can't wait to tell you the whole story. Anyways, long time no chat. How's work been treating ya?"
So when your ex responds, they'll probably ask a reciprocal question. And this is your time to shine and let him or her know how well things have been going for you. And if you can do this correctly, you're going to pique your ex's interest and they're going to want to know even more about how you're doing. The key, of course, is subtlety, because there's a fine line between, obvious bragging and quiet confidence. So don't go overboard. Just drop hints at how well things are going since the breakup. And before we move on, a couple of other things to keep in mind. Do not ask them if they're seeing or dating anybody. Right now, you need to show that you don't care how their love life is going. And remember to absolutely avoid bringing up your past relationship with him or her as well. You need to focus on keeping the conversation light, fun, and upbeat. So there's no need for negativity or heavy topics. And number 4, set up a short meeting. So once you've established contact with your ex and you've been, building anticipation, then it's time to escalate your interaction and actually meet them in person. Now, you can do this in a number of ways, but depending on how your relationship ended previously, you might need to rework your strategy. But for most scenarios, setting up a quick coffee date is one of the best ways to go about meeting up with your ex for the first time. So you could say something like,
"Hey, guess what? I'm finally planning that big trip to Japan for this fall. I'm super excited, and since you've spent so much time there, I was hoping to pick your brain and get some suggestions for my itinerary. Can I buy you a quick coffee sometime this weekend?"
Or another example might be,
"Hey, I've been taking those guitar classes recently and I'm actually ready to buy one now. Since you literally know everything about every guitars, I'm hoping you can help me pick one out. Can we meet at the music shop next week?"
Now, if you're worried that your ex, won't be receptive to the idea of a one-on-one meetup, then you can also just involve some mutual friends to just make things feel, less threatening and more fun for your ex. So basically, you could just adapt the first example that I mentioned a minute ago to something more like,
"Hey, guess what? I'm finally planning that big trip to Japan for this fall. I'm super excited, and I know you've spent so much time there, so I was hoping to pick your brain and get some suggestions. Mo and Jessica are coming over on Saturday night to watch the game at my place. Want to join so we can talk a bit about Japan?"
Now, obviously, you have to adapt these examples to be relevant for your situation and your ex. Don't just make up some random vacation that you're not really planning on taking, at least if you can avoid it, because it's always best to be truthful and genuine in your questions or whatever reason you choose to justify meeting up in person. And on to number 5, meet up in person. All right, congratulations. You've made it to the big day. You're finally going to meet with your ex in person. But there's a few things that you have to remember when you're meeting with your ex for the first time after no contact. Now, a lot of this stuff might sound familiar from earlier in the video or from my other past videos, but they're really important to reiterate briefly here. So remember that the goal in this first meetup is just to have a good time. Now, you're not bringing up things from the past. You're not here to start a fight with your ex, and you're not here to start any kind of drama. Instead, just focusing on being happy, being positive, and making sure that your ex is having fun with you. And now is also the time to show off a little bit as well. So talk about all the amazing things that are happening in your life. Talk about that amazing trip you're planning, how your social life is bumping, how you're hitting the gym every day, and how well, work or school has been going for you. Right now, your goal is to make sure your ex knows that they're missing out on an amazing person, you. Now, of course, just like with showcasing your interesting and exciting new life since the breakup, you're also going to want to make sure that you aren't obviously trying to make your ex jealous. Because if he or she senses that you're, being disingenuous or that you're trying too hard, they're going to run for the hills. So always make sure that doing things subtly is a focus. Now on to number 6, flirt and build sexual tension. So during your first meetup with your ex, and really in all future in-person meetings with them, you're going to want to flirt subtly. Now, don't be too pushy or aggressive. This is all about having fun and building, natural, organic attraction. Now, you probably already know the basics of flirting, and I've recently made a whole video on this topic, 16 flirting tips that you can use on your ex that you can watch up here by clicking the pop-up or the link in the description below. But for this video, here's just a few tips for flirting and building that attraction and tension with your ex. So give them a good hug, ideally for a few seconds longer than you might normally, at least if they're open to it. Smile a lot and make plenty of eye contact with your ex. Don't be afraid to touch your ex here and there in a playful way. For example, you can gently hit them when they make a joke, or you can brush up against them, accidentally. And just make sure that it seems, real and subtle. You can also playfully tease your ex a little bit. Just make sure you keep it lighthearted. And of course, be funny, positive, and upbeat. Everyone loves to hang out with people who make them feel happy, feel good about themselves, and who make them laugh. So, be sure to joke around a lot and just generally make sure your ex is having fun and enjoying your company. Humor is a very powerful aphrodisiac. And also be interested in what your ex has to say, engage with conversation topics that they're interested in, and ask questions, but not about their dating life or anything serious or heavy, of course. Share some brief and interesting stories about your life since the breakup. Use this as an opportunity to subtly show off how great your life is and how busy you've been since you broke up. Create a bit of mystery and intrigue whenever possible. Don't be a completely open book. Hold back a little bit when you can and leave some of the details to the imagination. Bring up happy shared memories from your past relationship, whenever the opportunity presents itself. Nostalgia can be a really powerful tool to help make your ex miss you and question their decision to break up, especially if you can subtly hint at, steamy, intimate time you shared together. Sexual tension is also extremely powerful. All right, and now on to number 7, leave them wanting more. So don't try to extend your first in-person meetup into anything, lengthy or drawn out. After 20 or 30 minutes of chatting, and before things start to get stale or the conversation peters out, make your exit. Come up with a reason that you have to leave, like, hey, this has been really great, really good to catch up, and I'm glad you're doing so well. I'd love to chat longer, but I have to meet a friend for our spin class tonight. But, let's do this again soon. You really want to end things, and not just during your first in-person meetup, but subsequent ones as well, on a high note, when your ex is still wanting more. It's been proven by numerous research studies that humans are hardwired to fixate on unfinished tasks more than on completed ones. So if it feels to your ex like your conversation ended with some unanswered questions or more to chat about, they're going to focus on you and crave another date with you soon. This is often called open loops, and it can be really effective to make your ex keen to meet up again and again. And number 8, keep going, but not too fast. So assuming that your first meetup goes well, you do some flirting and build some of that natural attraction, and you leave your ex wanting more, well, you're on the road to sealing the deal and making your ex officially ask you to get back together. Now, sometimes this will happen the first time you see them in person, but it can often take several meetups over the course of weeks or, maybe even months. So the key at this point is to continue to slowly and carefully build more and more attraction, more and more sexual tension, and just continue to make your ex feel like you're thriving since the breakup and that they've made a mistake in letting someone so interesting and so attractive walk out of their life. Now, I promise that even though this sounds like a stretch from where you're sitting right now, if you do handle each meetup and subsequent texting conversation properly, you will get to that point. Again, don't force things. Don't spam your ex with texts. Try to meet up with them 4 times in a single week, or anything that would come across as overbearing, desperate, or designed to win them back. Just continue to play it cool, focus on yourself and improving your own life outside of your ex, and keep ramping up that natural attraction with flirting and showing off your best attributes. Remember, you already made this person fall in love with you once before, and that's a huge advantage. You're just doing it again. And number 9, find out your chances by taking my free quiz. So if you haven't already, and you want to know how likely it is that you'll be able to actually get that second chance with your ex, go to breakupbrad.com/quiz and just take my free 5-minute quiz. You just answer a handful of questions, and the quiz will generate a detailed results report and a score out of 100, breaking down your odds of getting your ex to come back to you. Again, it's free, and the link is breakupbrad.com/quiz. And as I mentioned earlier, I also offer very affordable one-on-one coaching, which you can learn more about at breakupbrad.com/coaching. Okay, folks, that is the 9 steps to take after no contact ends. Now, I know it might feel daunting to go out and put all this stuff into practice in the real world, but I promise that everything I've covered in this video will help you maximize your chances. And I also know that you can do it. But get started now before it's too late. Thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and leave your questions, feedback, and flattering compliments in the comments section below. I read every single comment and on every single video I publish, even the spam and the hate mail ones. So thanks again for watching. Very best of luck, and bye for now.